Hello, everyone, and welcome to Converge 2023. This is RoboHead's annual user conference. My name is Brent Otto, and I'm the Director of Business Development here. And you should be logged in to the Streamline compliance reviews to capture legal audit trails. It is the 1:30 session, so I'm just going to allow another 30 seconds to have everybody sign in. So I will be back in a second. All right, why don't we go ahead and get started? So, as I mentioned, you should be in the session Streamline Compliance Reviews to capture legal audit trails. Now, I get it. I know it's boring, but it's not going to be boring. Um, you know, compliance reviews are required, and so I do have some good recommendations, some good ideas to make that process a little easier and hopefully a little smoother. But first, I do have some housekeeping items for this session. So we do encourage, please use the chat to ask questions. Those questions will be answered, not by me, but my coworkers that are working behind the scenes. So your questions can get answered while this session is going on. Also, if you want more entries to win those fantastic prizes, give us a review on G2. We just won a few awards recently, so any good review is great, and you could see that under the lobby info desk. And recordings will be available after this session, basically all sessions, and then just go to the agenda on the access page. All right, so what are we going to learn in this session? So I do have a best practice. I like to think it's actually a top 5 best practice for capturing compliance reviews. It is based on 2 separate reviews, and I'll explain. Second, we do have a simple 2-stage review. I know this conference is a lot about automation and streamlining that process, so we do have that 2-stage review if that's what you'd like to do. Then third, we have something called a review summary. That's actually a PDF, documentation of that actual review. So that PDF could easily be sent to legal or even to your auditor. And then lastly, the reporting, very strong in RoboHead. There is a nice way where you can collect all compliance reviews, so it's really easy to manage, to make sure it's done correctly in all the projects. So we'll touch on that as well. All right, so why don't I find me a project here? So here's my project list. So I do have a project called Food Nutrition Label. So I'm under the review section. So you can see in RoboHead, it is all contained in the project. But here's where I do have 2 reviews, okay? The reason I recommend doing 2 reviews, because that internal review or the review for the stakeholder, that can get pretty messy, right? You could have a lot of corrections from the art director, from the stakeholder, and you could have multiple rounds, 3, 4, 5, even 10 rounds. So that review is always going to be a little messy. So my idea is to have that review, finish that review, and when things are done and clean, that's when you can have that second review as a compliance review. So if I click on this review, you can see that it can be popped into the review tool. So as your compliance person can review and see what this is, and then also you can compare the versions. So if I can compare the versions, you can see the corrections that were asked by the compliance person, that they were actually fixed in this newer version. Okay. Now, the other key part is to name that review with the word compliance. Because when it comes to reporting, I will definitely have the report grab any review that has the word compliance in it. Also, we do have that stage review. So if we're looking at a stage review, kind of see how that looks. Let me click on the review here. We'll get it modified. And so down below, you can see where we have it going to the art director first. And when the art director does approve it, it will get passed on to compliance. So again, it's one review, but it's tied into two people. And then you can also set that art director review. You can make sure that does get reviewed and approved before it actually goes on to compliance. Okay. Now, I do want to cover that the review summary. So if I go back into our label, under the review, you will actually see save summary. You can select it just as the current version, or what you'd want, especially for your auditor, is to do a report that has all versions. So if I bring up my report, you can see that here's the label. You can see here's the changes that were made. If I go to page 2, this is the final version. And then page 3 gives you all the detail. So again, this is great documentation that is a PDF that can be shared, that's stored in all of the reviews, but it also can be sent as a file to whoever needs to see it. All right. So now, how do we manage these reviews? So if we go under reporting, I created a audit report for client compliance approvals. So if I run that report, you can see that it's finding all the review names. Okay. Again, the key is to have compliance in that review name. So even if it's compliance label, compliance sales, it's still going to find that review. So again, maybe use a dash or parentheses to, customize that review. Now you can see under the food label, these reports are interactive, are real time. So I could click on this label and it actually brings me into the review that I need to check on. So it's very, very real time that you can see these reviews, and just use the breadcrumbs to go backwards. Now, to look at this report, it's set up pretty simply. So let me go into modify. So again, as you want, here are the columns that I chose. You can have columns that mean more, have more meaning for you or for the compliance person or legal department. But then you can see that I'm looking for review name. It contains the word compliance. So that's how I can find all the compliance reviews. And then the status. So I'm always looking to make sure the statuses are complete and approved, complete and approved with changes, or complete and denied. Again, that will find everything. These reports can also maybe go by, monthly at a time. So if you want to do it by monthly, that's great. You could do that as well. And then you can also pull these in any state. So project state, I did have both. So this is going to pull active projects as well as archived. Now, if you have your process and you're very quick to archive projects when they're finished, then yes, you'll want to do both. And you could also do that with the review state. Also with these reviews, you could schedule them. So if you do want to pass that information around, go ahead and schedule these results. You could send them at the end of the month. You could send them to yourself. You could even send them again to the legal department. So I'm hoping this gives you some simple ideas to manage that compliance review, because I know it's cumbersome, but it is required. We have a SOC 2 certification, and we got to carry different steps in our process. So understanding the steps that you need for a compliance review and for that audit trail, you can do that in RoboHead. Okay. Now, next session that is coming up will be one of our more innovative clients, Tyler Tech. They will show you how they use the RoboHead data pulled in through Power BI and really make their decisions based on data that they pull from RoboHead. Thank you for attending, and have a great day.